welcome to my channel. My name is Cici and I'm a reseller on Poshmark, exclusively Poshmark. And today I want to do a video to share my spreadsheets. I have two spreadsheets that I use. One is my main inventory spreadsheet, and obviously I add all the inventory to that. And then I have it filtered so it will create a sheet for each month of the year so I can get monthly totals as well as annual yearly overview. And then I've got another spreadsheet that is I just sell on Poshmark, and it's useful for those purposes because it's a bundle calculator spreadsheet. So you know, if you sell a bundle, it's typically never of multiple items of the same exact price. I mean, I suppose it could be, but that's not what's generally happened for me. So because I need to figure out my cost, my net profit and my sold profit per item, I needed a spreadsheet to help me figure that out because the math was kind of crazy on those sales. So please stay tuned and watch if you think either of those spreadsheets might be useful for you. I'm not a total techie. I do know my way around a spreadsheet. They took me a while to develop and tweak over the years. So, and if you know your way around the spreadsheet and you decide it's something you want to use, you could certainly add or delete columns and rows and reformat it as you see fit. But they're just down below. You can get to them in the link, and they're free of charge. I did put a link to buy me a coffee page if you find that the spreadsheets are useful to you and you want to show me a small token of appreciation. That would be great. And if not, they're down there for you to use either way. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I will get into the spreadsheets now. So let's review column by column what I've got on this sheet that I use. So the first column is brand. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's alphanumerically sorted, and it is in my primary sort for the spreadsheet, although that can be changed. The second column is item, which is basically the item description. So if it's a polka dot midi dress, I would write that there. If it was a pair of black denim flare jeans, I would write that there, etc. Excuse me. The next column is size, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then the next column is bin, which became pretty important to me after I made a few mistakes. So bin is basically just a different way for me of saying location. The majority of my items are stored in bins, but I also have them on a shoe rack and in closets. So, but for practical purposes, bin just means location. So I put that there because there have been times in the past. I'm going to toggle over to Poshmark here. So when I do my Poshmark listings, I use it this way where it says bin V under listing SKU. If you see on the third row from the bottom, that is the location. And I used to depend exclusively on that, but I have made typos and I've made mistakes, and that's caused me to have to look through several bins to find something on more than one occasion. So I decided to start using this as a backup way of documenting where I saved something. I also want to pop in here and show where else it's useful. If you see above where it says bin E, that's coming right from where I listed that at the bottom of the listing. So when I pull up my sales to get my inventory to pack, it's right there in my sales list, easy to see. And that's not necessarily foolproof, but what it is a way that I can drill down because I also have a date listed column up there. So if I happen to put a typo in either place or both places, I typically will put things in the same bin on the same day just because whatever particular bin has room or it's a fresh bin. So I can go I can sort my spreadsheet by date listed to find something. So that's just a little thing that I do. I don't know if other people have made similar mistakes. The next column is new with tag. And if something is new with tag, I just put an X in that column. Not certain that I've ever gone back and referenced that data. So I don't know how useful it is, but it is there. The next column is posted. And what I do there is I just put an X in that column if I have in fact posted the item. There are times when I mislay something. There's times I've decided to keep an item. So it just gives me an idea when I'm doing my spreadsheet, especially when I'm carrying over data from year to year, like rows on the spreadsheet that haven't sold in 2024 will then come over to my 2025 spreadsheet because there's still active inventory. But when I'm doing that and I'm sorting the data to get to that, it's useful to know if I've overlooked posting something. This column here is the reposh column. Oops, I'm trying to grab that and widen it. There we go. So I have purchased quite a few things on Posh that I ended up reselling. So that's just more of an indicator for me to know that that was a reposh. It's a column that you could delete if it wasn't useful for you. And you can easily delete something just by highlighting it and then pushing in. I would press delete and that deletes that column, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to undo that, but there you have it. And then the next column is flaw. So a lot of times when I'm at the bins, I pick up something and I get it home and I realize it has a flaw. So on the spreadsheet, when I'm going back and looking at my solds, if I can see that I let something go for a low price and I have the flaw column checked, that lets me know that maybe there's a reason I sold it so low. And it also is kind of a key marker for my next column, which is write off salvage. So if I find something and I'm not able to sell it due to a flaw, or it's been posted for a certain amount of time and it's become pretty apparent that's not going to sell, I will write it off or salvage it. And this column is just another one where I place an X if I'm doing that, because when I sort the spreadsheet at the end of the year, the way I'm sorting it is by date sold. So if it's sold, obviously in 2024, I'm not going to pull it over to my 2025 spreadsheet, but with salvage items, it's easy to miss that, so I just kind of have that as a backup. Okay, and column J is cost of goods. So that is where I put what my cost of goods were for any particular item. That's useful for many different reasons, but it's obviously nice to have it on a master spreadsheet. The thing with cost of goods is to make sure you're including sales tax, because all of that counts as cost of goods. You get to count in the sales tax you were charged, if any, under cost of goods. So I put that whole amount in there, which includes, if I go to the bins, that's just dividing the total amount I spent at the bins by the number of pieces to get an average, which usually ends up with me having to do cent rounding on the last item, but that's okay. And then the next column is source, which basically means where I got it. So I've got my own abbreviations. I've purchased things on Whatnot. There's a Goodwill on Victory Drive. There's the Savannah Goodwill outlet. So those are just all my abbreviations, but that's basically just to put where you got the item, which can be useful for multiple reasons. And then I put the date acquired, which is just my receipt date, and that comes into play in a formula a few rows over. And then when I do list it, I put the date listed, which also comes into play in a formula. And then date sold, which obviously is the date the item sold. And that's useful because it will carry over into the next column, as well as factor in to pulling it over to all these other month sheets. If you see the tabs on the bottom of the screen, it will auto-populate all those months. Once you put a date sold in, it pulls that item over to the appropriate sheet in the book so that you have a monthly breakdown, which is amazing to have. So, and then the next column is days listed. So I've got a formula in there. So let's check it out. So this item here was listed on February 7th. So let's say that it's sold on April 2nd. So that's going to tell me straight away that it was listed for 55 days, which is amazing because it's kind of nice to know. I mean, there's items that can be listed for quite a while, and there's items that sell, pretty quick. So we'll look at the monthly breakdowns later, but on those monthly sheets, I have that averaged out. So each month you can look at the average days listed the items sold for that month had. And then the next column is sold price. That's obvious. Well, it's not obvious. That's the gross sold price. So if you sell something for 50 before any other discounts factor in, 50 is what goes there. And then the shipping discount is, I just sell on Poshmark, so I can't speak to eBay or Mercari or any of the other marketplaces. This is a spreadsheet I made just for selling on Poshmark because that's what I do. But obviously on Poshmark, shipping discount comes into play quite often. So if I have a shipping discount on an order, I put it there. And that's more, I didn't always used to do that because that data can actually be pulled by the reports available on Poshmark. But now that I've been watching my profit a little more closely, it's nice just to be able to look on a month-by-month basis how much of my profit was eaten up by shipping discounts. So I do have that there. The next column is net. And in that column, I just put what my take-home was. So that is my take-home after shipping discounts and Poshmark's fees. And the next column I have programmed to be net minus cost of goods. So here we'll go back over. Our cost of goods on this piece was $335. So let's say we sold that. Let's say we listed it on January 1st. Let's say we sold it on March 1st. And let's say we sold it for $40. And let's say our net was $30. Then that's going to calculate that my true net was $26.65 based on the fact that my net after all discounts and fees was $30 and that I paid $3.35 for the item. So $30 minus $3.35 is $26.65. So I'm just going to back all that out. But yeah. That's how that works. And I find that really useful because that's basically your true net. And then the next two columns, so column is called personal cost. So basically that's to satisfy the IRS because I sell a lot of personal items from my own closet. Anything that you sell that's a private item, a personal item, you are supposed to pay, and I know this sounds crazy, but you're supposed to pay a capital gain tax if you made a profit on the item. So if you bought a sweater for $40 3 years ago and it's outdated and you don't want it anymore and you sell it for $100, your capital gain would be $60. So that rarely comes into play. I've had a few Lily Pulitzer pieces that I got for a nice low price on Poshmark, and then I, sold it at a later date and made more than I paid for it. But I've not had a terribly large capital gain in any way, but it's something you're supposed to track. So I only fill that out on items, obviously, that were personal that I made a profit on. Then this column, profit margin, that only will be filled in when I should have left those other numbers up. So let's go back and put these numbers in. Okay. So let's say I sold that for $50 and my net was $40 and so that's going to tell me my profit margin was $73.3%. And I have the formula plugged in there. So that's basically true net divided by sold price. If you can see down here at the bottom where it says column S2 divided by column P2, that's what gets to your profit margin, which is just, I don't know. It's just something, I saw it once on a video and I decided to plug it in there. It's not something everybody cares to know. It's not really a big deal, but I suppose it's something nice to have. So, and it was simple enough to put it in there, so I did. Then this column, I put an X in if the sale was a bundle sale. And that factors in because for my purposes, and I'll show you my bundle calculator spreadsheet, when I do a bundle, and I assume when anyone does a bundle, the profit per item isn't clear cut. You have to go into the background and do a little bit of math to figure that out. So when I have a bundle sale and I'm having to put in the net on each item, And the sold price and the net on each item requires me to take it to another spreadsheet to figure out, unless you had a bundle where each item was priced exactly the same, then the math would be easy, but I've never had a bundle like that. So I do indicate yes or no there just to make it easy for me to see where there were bundles. And then this, just any notes here. And this row here is just, I take pictures of my salvage when I'm doing salvage, so I just will put a salvage date there. So that's that. So we're going to take a look at one of the monthly tabs. They're all the same. And then we're going to take a look at the bundle spreadsheet, the bundle calculator spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and look at February. Okay, so if we come to February, it's going to show us, I've got a date range up here to indicate the entire month, and that would need to be changed every year. So if the sheet was going to be used year after year, at the beginning of 2025, you'd have to come in here and change that to 2/1/25, like that, to 2/28/25. And then everything disappears because there's no sales during that time period. But let's go ahead and change it back to this year. Okay, so then it pulls in the 2 sales that I've marked, and I've had more sales, but this spreadsheet is just one that I'm going to use for demonstrative purposes. So it pulled over the items that sold during that time period, and it pulls in everything that I've got listed over there. So for instance, this piece I paid $6.47 for. I sold it for $10. My true net was $5. So my net minus cost of goods was in the negative. And again, these are just examples. You can see the profit margin there. And then we're going to go down. So here's one where I had a personal cost for that capital gains example. So I paid $24.99 for it, but because I only paid $5, I'm not going to have a capital gain. So no changes can be made on this sheet. So I have to go over to the main inventory sheet actually to update that, which I should. So I'm going to put a 0 there because I didn't have a capital gain there. Now let's go back to February. That's come over. So, and that's how each basically monthly sheet works. So everything will carry over from the main sheet to where you could come and just get at a glance look at how you were doing for any particular month. And I also take this and compare it against my seller tools and my closet. So you go to my seller tools in Poshmark, and then you go to my closet insight, and I compare my sold price to Posh's sold price for the month gross, and then I compare my net to Posh's net for the month to make sure that I'm recording. And what that does for me is make sure that I've recorded everything correctly on my spreadsheet. Okay, so that's that. I think now we're going to, I'll show you something really quick. This would have to be personalized. I have a write-off tab. And this, as I write off things, basically as I find flaws, and more frequently as I decide the inventory is outdated and will be written off, I do keep this because this is a write-off for the current tax year, regardless of when I actually purchased the item. So this could be personalized, but basically it has the same headers, column headers, because it's going to be a copy-paste operation when I bring something off of this main inventory sheet and put it here. So let's go ahead and look at the bundle calculator spreadsheet now. Okay, so this is the bundle we're going to work with to plug into the bundle calculator spreadsheet. It's a 4-item bundle, and we're going to come here first to get the total. So the total I sold the bundle for was $40 with no shipping discount. And the original bundle total was $85. Let's go on over to the bundle calculator spreadsheet. So we're going to start here with the original total, which was $85. And then what I need to know is each item's original. So what did we have? We had 15, 40, 20, and 10. So we're going to plug that in. 15, 40, 20, and 10. And then we need to figure out what the percentage decrease is from 85 to $40. So there is a percentage calculator tool online. I'll probably pop it up on the screen here or put it in the links below. But I use that because it's much quicker than me trying to figure out what percentage decrease $85 to $40 is. All right, I'm just going to pop this up on the screen. The website is percentagecalculator.net, and this is what I use. They have a few different formulas you can use, but in this case, I need to know what the decrease is from 85 to 40. So it's what is the percentage decrease increase from 85 to 40. I plug those two in there and I say calculate. And it's telling me it's 52.94. So I'm going to use 53% for our spreadsheet. Okay, so we're going to look back. So we've got our original bundle total of 85. That matches to our items original, and now we decided 53 was the percentage. So what we're going to do here is go down to the very bottom formula line, and the last bundle I did had a percentage decrease of 31. So to adjust that formula, I just need to go down here and put 53% instead. Up a mosquito was in here, it almost got me. And I need to do that for each line. And I know how to pull and drag and copy it on my computer, but I don't know how to do that on my spreadsheet. So I'm actually just going to type it in line by line. If you know how to do it, you could let me know in the comments because I don't know how to do that. So we've got that all done. So that means that I have a total of 4505 there. So the items actual is basically column B, which is the original, less column C, which was the percentage decrease. So here we have the items actual, which comes to $39.95. And if we go back and compare to our bundle, the net earnings were 32. So something's not right. Let's go look and see what that would be. So that would be my total with Posh rounding, because I know that Posh doesn't do their calculation, for example, on 705 or 1880. So I need to go here and drop cents to get my formula to work. So for that one, I'm going to put in 7. For this one, I'm going to put in 19. I just round up or down. Although I will say, as I've been doing this, I've noticed that Posh does not always round in the seller's favor. So now we have 37. I made a mistake there, that's why. So now you see with our Posh rounding, we've got 40. So that matches our bundle total. And then I have this column calculated to Posh's 20%. Now, if you have a sale that's under 15, which is highly unlikely with a bundle, where Posh's take would be $2.95, this would have to be manually adjusted, but because it's a bundle, it's not under 15, so the flat $2.95 Posh shipping discount doesn't apply, or the Posh $2.95 selling fee doesn't apply here. It's a straight 20%. So these are all 20% of the Posh rounded figure. So hopefully that makes sense why we can't use the items actual, because if I said, well, this was originally at 15, I offered her a 53% discount, which netted down to 705. It's actually 7 because Poshmark has to round cents to get it to work. So then their percentage is $8, which matches the bundle, $8. And my net is 32. So that works out fine. Now where this could play out differently is if you did add a shipping discount, and that goes here. And because it's a bundle, so let's say you had a shipping discount of $202, which would be for two. So Posh's shipping is $7.97. If you offer $5.98 shipping, that's a shipping discount of $202. You would have to divide $202 by the number of items. So in this case, it would be 4. So that would be what, approximately 51 cents an item. So let's do that really quick and just pretend. Oops. Okay, my bad. So you see how we got 204 there? Now, again, if you offered $5.98 shipping, your true discount would be 202. So that would be a case where you would have to manually go in and edit this. So some of this spreadsheet is automated, but some of it's manual, and then you've got 202. So that's how you're going to get to your true net if you did offer a shipping discount. In this case, I didn't. So I'm going to back that out, but I just want to show you how to get to that if you did. Okay, so what we have now, after we've added our shipping discount and Posh's fees, this column I is matched to bundle total. And if this dollar amount right here matches the bundle total, which it does, so bundle total basically means net earnings. I probably need to go ahead and let me rename that right now. Match to bundle net. Okay, there we go. So that should match your bundle net earnings, which in our case it does. And then for your spreadsheet purposes, if you're going to go ahead and you've broken these items down, they're individual on your spreadsheet, so you need an individual cost of goods for them. Here's your net per item. So this item, we had it listed at 15. It got a 53% discount, and that's proportionately based on the original price of the item. It actually sold for 7 with Poshmark's rounding. Poshmark took their 20% of $1.40. That brought me to a subtotal of $5.60 for that item. Now, if I had offered a shipping discount of $5.98, that would be 50 cents less. So the subtotal would be, or the item net for sale would end up being $5.10. So I'll just illustrate that really quick. Let's see if we had that 50 cent discount in there. So then your item net would be $5.10. But in this case, we didn't offer a shipping discount, so it's $5.60. So on your spreadsheet, you know, items amount sold, you would put 7. And then items net to get your true net would be $5.60. And then let's say that you paid $2 for that item. Your true net on the tabs of the spreadsheet, on the sheets in the spreadsheet would come out to $3.60. So that would math out the way you needed it to. There are a few manual steps involved there, and if you have any questions, let me know. But I think I did an okay job explaining it. So yeah, that's how I use spreadsheets exclusively for Poshmark. Like I said, I'm not on other platforms, so I think the shipping structure and discounts are a little bit different there. But yeah, that's how I do it. Okay, thank you so much for watching that. I had a few clarifications I needed to add really quickly. On the main inventory sheet and all the subsequent month sheets, I had to pull the total line up to the top of the spreadsheets, like yay. So I don't know if you can see it up there, because basically it makes it easier for users, so you can just continue adding lines at the bottom without worrying about running over the total. And as well, on the monthly sheets, I had it at line 50, and it wouldn't populate past line 50. My filter wouldn't populate because the filter did not want to override the summing that I had at line 50, so I had to move it to the top of the sheet, which I think makes more sense, because then it's just visible as soon as you look at the sheet. You can say, where am I everywhere, and where am I this month? That being said, your lines at the top of your main inventory sheet, aside from cost of goods, are not going to be accurate. So cost of goods are always going to be accurate because you add that to your spreadsheet straight away, but everything else that's totaled, because not every column is totaled. Obviously, I'm not totaling description or brand or location, but for the columns that have to do with finance and math, like sold price, net minus cost of goods, and personal cost, those sum at the top, but they'll never be accurate because they're only accurate for what's sold, because you're only filling in a sold price for what's sold. So those are going to be wildly inaccurate on the main sheet. Where they will be accurate is on the monthly breakdown sheets. And then the last thing I'll say is all updates have to be done to the main sheet. Any any filtering or formulas will get broken if you do updating on the individual sheets that are, the individual month sheets. So any changes to anything just have to be done on the main inventory sheet, and everything else will be reflected. And then one more thing, the write-off sheet, I did not have that auto-populate. I could code that to auto-populate. However, in my case, I am writing off things from multiple years. Like I might write off something from 2022, 2021, and 2023. I can't point all those sheets. I could, but I wouldn't know which year to point them at, because I might write off something for 2021 and 2023. I might write off 2022 and 2024. I might write off 2023 and 2024. So there's no consistency amongst write-off dates to have those points. So that has to be a manual copy paste if you're going to use that sheet. But yeah, that being said, I hope the sheet is helpful and this wasn't too terribly long-winded, and I'll see y'all soon. All right, bye.